They threw Denning's heart on the pile, and it started to beat, and then pulse, and then thrash around. Then it tore open, and one of those things pulled itself out. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation Keter Class Object Presumed Neutralized, SCP-1983. SCP-1983, also known as Doorway to Nowhere, is a combination of SCP-1983-1 and SCP-1983-2. 19831 is a one-story farmhouse in Wyoming. It was abandoned in 1968 after a series of ritual murders, allegedly performed by a satanic cult. 19831 is accessible through a number of entryways, including windows, a back door, and rudimentary points of egress cut into the back of 19831. However, it seems as though the former front room of 19831 no longer exists. Doors that should lead to the front room instead lead to other doors inside the building. Holes cut through the interior walls of 19831 that should lead to the front room apparently lead to the outside walls located around the front of 19831, but stop 3 meters on either side of the doorway. Attempts to drill into the front room from the outside have led to the exposure of smaller portions of the anomaly. Further attempts to breach the wall have been forbidden by 0503 due to the possibility of a potential manifestation of 19832. 19832 are bipedal creatures that measure approximately 1.8 meters tall. They are vaguely humanoid and entirely black in color. They are highly aggressive and will engage any human on sight. When an instance of 19832 comes into contact with a human, they extend an upper limb into the human's chest cavity without any apparent damage to skin or tissues. Through unknown means, they then extract the heart, killing the human instantly. Once it has acquired a human heart, 19832 will return to 19831. Silver munitions fired at 19832 while reciting religious scripture and prayer is the only known method for neutralizing 19832. The precise form of prayer or religion of the supplicant does not appear to matter, so long as the prayer is sincere. Once killed, the bodies of 19832 appear to disintegrate, leaving a small layer of sulfur. On May 23, 1989, personnel D14134 was sent to enter 1931, and he was given a closed-circuit camera tethered to a monitor with a 25-meter cord. He was instructed to examine as much of the area as he could, and then attempt to return. Once through the doorway, the camera feed was interrupted. The cord was pulled taut before snapping entirely. Inside, the desiccated remains of several agents were discovered, as well as document 198-315, an informal SCP report written by an agent within the anomaly. It appears as follows. I'm Agent Barclay. I'm in the middle of this damned thing, and I'm telling you, if you're here, you're going to die. I'm probably already dead. Let's get to the containment procedures. There's really only one. Close the damned door. You aren't going to get back through there. That is your only priority right now. You're going to die anyway, so you might as well do some good before you're gone. Here's a story. Tell me if you've heard it before. The Foundation gets reports of trouble in the middle of nowhere, USA. Cattle and wildlife are dying mysteriously. Some people turn up missing. When a body shows up, the autopsy finds that the heart was missing. Not cut out, not torn out, just gone. There was simply a patch of empty space in the middle of the chest. They find some sort of pitch-black thing floating around. Some brain at the Foundation has seen something like them before, and they figured out how to kill them. Silver bullets. And pray to God as you fire. For some reason, that makes it work. Doesn't matter which god, but you damn well better mean it. Anyway, Foundation figured out where it's all coming from. Some house in the middle of nowhere. No one's lived there in years, not since yada yada murder, cult, rituals, bullshit. The main thing is that these things keep appearing out of the front door. A team goes in and they never come back out. But then again, neither do the monsters. The living room was bad enough. That's where they got O'Brien. They reached in and suddenly he keeled over. And one of them took off with his heart in its claws, I guess? They're less distinct here. You've probably noticed that. They're like shadows. Stay away from the light. I know that sounds stupid, but think about it. In the light, shadows are stronger. They have edges. When it's dark, they're indistinct. They can hardly touch you, and they don't see very well. I think they see by your shadow. I don't know. I'm just pulling at straws here, I'll be honest. Don't try going back out the door, because it leads to someplace even worse. There aren't any monsters, but Jones went too far from the house and he started to melt. Things started popping out of him and he didn't make it back. That's when we closed the door. After, we started moving through the house. This place is big. It's not just the farmhouse. It's like they stole bits and pieces of a lot of places and stuck them all together. There are some bits that look like an apartment, some that look like a shopping mall, and even a closet from my old high school. There are also bits that are made out of black shadowy stuff, and it's mostly in the well-lit places. If the lights go out, you can stick your hand through, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. That's how we lost Torres. Something grabbed him, pulled him through. There's no way out. Any door you find either just leads to another room in this nut house, or it leads out there, and it's pretty obvious we can't live there. So either wait until you starve to death or one of those things gets you. However, I think I figured out a way to stop these things. It's the nest. I only saw it once, and only for a few minutes. We followed one of them after they got Denning's heart. It took it into a room that I guess is in the middle of this whole place. It's all black stuff, and they've dragged in every kind of light they could find. Lamps, flashlights, candles, you name it. Some of them were carrying more in as we watched. Anyway, in the middle, you'll find a big pile of hearts. All of them just tossed in a heap and torn open. They threw Denning's heart on the pile, and it started to beat, and then pulse, and then thrash around. Then it tore open, and one of those things pulled itself out. It shook itself, started to grow, and then went right to work. The gross thing is that even as torn apart as they were, the hearts kept beating. I swear, I felt a twinge in my own chest. There were shadows in the place, and I don't mean the monsters. I mean real shadows of people. However, there wasn't a single physical body around to cast them. They were coming from the hearts. A new one appeared at the same time as the hatching monster and started trying to pull away, but it couldn't. That was when I ran. I couldn't take it. I wasn't trained for this kind of shit. I heard the others behind me. I don't know if they were trying to stop me or if the bastards had spotted us, but we got separated. I found a nice dark closet and I've been hiding in here since. I've been writing by penlight. I turn it off whenever I hear one of them getting close. But I can't go any further. I've got a few shots left in my gun, but I can't pray anymore, not after I saw the nest. But you, if you found this, you've got to be an agent too. Maybe you're stronger than I am. If you can, go in and destroy the nest. Destroy every last heart. If you do, maybe it'll kill them. It's the only thing I can think of. You'll probably die doing it, but you're dead anyway. Me, I'm going to try and get this report back to the living room, which I hope is where you find it. Then I'm going to make sure they can't use my heart to make another one of those things. Good luck. SCP-1983 is presumed to have been neutralized by D-14134, who was posthumously awarded the Foundation Star, one of only 2 awarded to Class D personnel. Tom waited until Hannah was asleep before sneaking out of their camp. He slipped out from under the shared blankets slowly and carefully, so to not wake Hannah up. He checked the calendar again to make sure he hadn't missed her birthday. He crossed out the date just to make sure he wouldn't forget to do that later in daylight. He ventured out of the encampment and immediately saw a group of staff congregating just an aisle away. He couldn't take them on alone. He had seen what these things were capable of. Tom looked around and spotted a vacant stool. He picked it up and hurled it over the top of the gathered staff, and as it landed, it made a faint crashing sound that echoed down the aisle. The noise wouldn't rouse Hannah from her sleep. He figured that noises like this are common occurrences in this place. When the staff scurried towards where the stool landed, Tom hurriedly took off, but not before glancing back at Hannah. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a tale from SCP Foundation SCP-3008, a perfectly normal, regular old IKEA. Tom watched from a distance as 3 staff walked by. It was unusual to see a group of them moving with purpose during the day, but not unheard of. He knew the god-awful things would ignore him while the lights were on, but that didn't make him feel comfortable about going anywhere near them. He had seen what they do when the lights were off. So he waited for them to pass, clutching the clock in his hands. The clock was a gift. It was Hannah's birthday tomorrow. Tom hadn't expected to find love in an endless IKEA filled with monsters, but he figured no one ever did. Sometimes he couldn't believe it had now been a year since that cursed and blessed day when he had gone shopping for shelves and ended up in this waking nightmare. He could still remember vividly how it all started. He had entered the store and something felt wrong. It was empty, like a failing retail store, yet everything appeared to be in place and fully stocked. He could see no one but the staff wandering around in the distance. Tom strolled past the aisles of furniture sets, cozy bedroom setups, and tables and chairs with crazy angles. He kept on walking. Each time he turned a corner, more aisles showed up. It was as if he was walking in circles. I swore I saw this clock set earlier. Something ain't right here. Tom looked around, made sure that no one could see him, and climbed up onto the shelf. He figured that if he could reach a vantage point, he might be able to pinpoint his location. And what he saw was an endless labyrinth of furniture displays and aisles that seemingly stretched on forever. He felt puny and dizzy. He slipped and fell from the shelf and in front of a staff, and that was when he saw Hannah. He remembered it in a strange blur, all in slow motion like some Hollywood movie cliche. The club swinging in, her dirty red hair flying wildly around her. Then she turned and looked straight at him, and the fierceness of her expression almost stopped his heart, her eyes ablaze with some internal force. And then the crunch of the staff's head as the club made contact, the rigidity of its head replaced by a disturbingly gelatinous quality as every bone within it shattered. Its featureless face turned towards him as if it was coming for him next, which it did, as it simply shrugged off her attack and got up. In that moment, he felt an intense mixture of confusion, horror, and admiration, all at the same time. "What are you doing? Run!" The staff began to walk towards Tom. Hannah gave it another smash that broke her club, then pulled Tom to his feet and ran, dragging him stumbling and terrified behind her. She brought him to the settlement that people trapped inside the store had built over the years. The whole thing had happened in about 3 seconds. He wondered how much of that memory his mind had embellished over the last year. But they met properly the following day, and the sparks were immediate. Every day, Hannah would repeatedly drum the rules into Tom. Don't stray too far from the marked zone. Learn the landmarks. Help out your fellow residents. Tom had never been a team player, but now he had to learn how to live with other people. It made him think that perhaps a hive mind isn't such a bad idea, especially since that's how the staff seemed to operate. They would rush their camp in mass with seemingly no self-preservation in mind, only the urge to destroy. The people cut them down easily enough. It happened regularly, every other night, so everyone was prepared for it. Knives from the cafeteria, lawnmower blades made into hatchets, fire axes, as well as walls with holes so they could stab out at the staff when they attacked. Hannah had even fashioned a functional crossbow from a furniture set and arrows from the remains of broken wooden chairs. She said she'd teach him one of these days. But for now, you can have it. You've been going on scavenge duty lately. An extra weapon wouldn't hurt. What about you? I'll find some way to make up for it. So today, a year later, he had found Hannah a clock. a simple clock with legible numerals on a clean white dial in true Bauhaus fashion. A simple clock which he risked his life for by going out of the explored zone. T'Jala? How the hell do you pronounce this thing? T'Jala? Whatever, I'm taking it. Getting gifts for someone was hard work when you live in a store where everything is free for the taking. But Hannah was always complaining about never knowing what time it was, especially in the dark of the early morning before the lights came back on, and so he decided that a clock would be the perfect gift. Suddenly, the lights went off, and he realized he had spent too much time avoiding the staff. He had strayed too far. Crap, this ain't good. In the dark, he lost all sense of direction, and it didn't help that he was in an unfamiliar section of the store. He looked at the clock. The illumined hands were pointing at the symmetrically pleasing 10:10 position. If only it doubled as a compass, Tom thought. Tom waited several more minutes for the staff to pass before continuing on his way back. For a moment, he considered taking them head on, but then he remembered Hannah's teaching. Never fight them alone, even if it seems doable. Why not? They die easily enough. You've seen how I killed one of them with a sharpened pole. Listen, we're fighting against them in their territory, and these things can come at you from angles you don't expect. Fight as a group, look out for each other. Otherwise, you'll end up like Jared. Poor Jared, Tom thought. According to Hannah, he had died because Hannah failed to defend him from a staff that broke through the shelf. Even though the people from the camp said that it wasn't Hannah's fault, it weighed heavily on her conscience. He had to make it back. He knew that if he didn't, Hannah would blame herself. All right, I can backtrack. Past the aisle of lamps, through the weird bed display section where all the beds were small squares, left at the giant hot dog sign, and then… His heart skipped a beat. He couldn't believe what he saw. The exit was in front of him, the only way to end this nightmare and make it back out into the real world outside. It suddenly occurred to him that he hadn't really been looking for a way out of here ever since he met Hannah, and he hadn't given much thought to what he would do should an opportunity present itself. But now it was here, right in front of him. From where he stood, it would take less than 5 seconds to reach the doors and pass through them. Yet his thoughts pinned him in place as he remembered the promise that he and Hannah made to each other. Hannah, if any of us finds the exit, promise me that you'll go through it. No, don't talk like that. We'll find the exit together and leave this place together, okay? It replayed in his head over and over while he stood there stupidly, staring at the exit, clutching the clock to his chest. All he had to do was to push past the door and all this would be over. Suddenly, a voice echoed out of the aisle behind him. The store is now closed. Please exit the building. Tom jumped as he looked and saw 2 staff with arms extended, walking quickly towards him. Another staff appeared in front of him, apparently out of nowhere, and attacked. He quickly turned around to shield the clock with his body. Oh, son of a… Tom dodged to the side and pulled down a shelf between himself and the staff, and ran. He sprinted through the dark aisles until he found yet another room set display and hid under the desk. He could still see the exit light from here. He could still make a run for it towards the door, but his mind was racked with indecision. He tried to think of a logical solution to his dilemma, but he could only weep. Suddenly, a bright light shone in his face. It was Hannah. She immediately turned it off to avoid attracting the staff. What are you doing here? Are you all right? What's with the clock? I thought you needed a way to tell the time, so this was meant to be a surprise. Hannah pulled him towards her, and they embraced each other silently. How did you find me? I followed the noise. I found the exit. He pointed at the door, past the collapsed shelf and a group of wondering staff. We have to make a run for it. You sure? We can wait until the lights… There's no time. More staff will be here soon and they'll find us. They got up and waited for a clear pathway towards the exit. They ran. Their sound of their footsteps drew the attention of the staff, and sure enough, they were on them within seconds. Hannah was running out of breath, and her being injured only made it worse. She could feel herself slowing down. They were only halfway to the exit. Her legs gave out, and she fell to the ground. A staff lunged towards her. Tom bashed it away with a broken bedpost. Go! Ugh. A staff grabbed at him and clawed at his body. Hannah grabbed the bedpost and smashed the staff's head. No, you promised that we'd leave together. And you promised me that you'd wait. Tom stared at Hannah's desperate face, and something inside him shifted. If only one of them can make it, it had to be her. Meeting Hannah had changed him. He had never had to care for other people, but after a year living with the trapped shoppers and Hannah, the lone wolf inside him had lost its selfishness. Now he was always there for other people, always there for her. They couldn't fight off all the staff, nor could they outrun them. And he figured it was about time Hannah get out of this hell. Tom shoved the clock into Hannah's arms and pushed her to the exit. "Happy birthday, Hannah." "Tom, no, no!" A staff lunged at her but was pulled back by Tom. Despite his exhaustion, Tom kept swinging to fend off the incoming staff. "Don't worry, I'll see you soon." He pushed Hannah through the door and slammed it shut. Though his eyes had adjusted to the dark, Tom's injury began to take a toll on him, and his dwindling stamina was slowing him down. Tom fended off several staff by maneuvering around the layout of the display, using his makeshift weapons and Hannah's crossbow, which broke after firing its last bolt. Then he saw smoke raising from afar, a sign of a nearby settlement. He had heard of other settlements just like their camp. Some of them would make fire to raise smoke beacons for any lost wanderer. Sure, it could be risky for the settlement as it would attract more staff, but it was the kind of selflessness that Tom had come to appreciate. On the other side of the door, it was quiet and vacant. Hannah used all her might to pull at the door, but it wouldn't budge. She could only fall to her knees and weep as the clock slowly disappeared. "Hey, remember what we said about leaving together? Yeah, if you find the exit, go through it and wait for me, because I'll follow you and find you in the outside world, where we belong. Promise me you'll wait for me. I promise." I was once dared to go into some abandoned middle school in a nearby rinky-dink town. Apparently, it was haunted and the boys thought it would be hilarious if one of us spent the night there. And guess who the luckiest guy in the room was that had to be the one to do it? That's right, me. Lost every single game of rock, paper, scissors, and so I had to do it. My friends said they would meander around the property, eating, drinking, and just having a good time, while I, on the other hand, was walking through the decaying halls. There wasn't anything out of the ordinary. It was the typical abandoned school after all. There was trash, graffiti, broken doors, and spiders. An aberrant amount of spiders, actually. Black widows. Needless to say, I kept my distance from them. But as far as haunted places go, it was pretty standard. Feeling bored and not scared, I called my friends and wanted to see if they wanted to come inside anyway. They agreed as they wanted to do some urban exploration and were bored of standing around our car. I was already on the north side of the school while they entered from the south side. I figured I'd wait for them in the cafeteria, and waited. And then came the screams. I jumped up and ran towards my friends shouting for help, panicking. But one by one their voices were silenced until there was nothing left but the deafening sound of my heart beating. I stopped running and stood still, unsure what to do or where to go. Fearing it was too late for my friends, I turned around and stopped at the side in front of me. There was a monstrous spider's web created from ropes, and strapped to said ropes were my friends. Baffled and frightened, I took a few steps back and called out to them.
"Pain. So much pain. Why did they do it?"
They all said in unison, spiders pouring out of their eyes and mouths. Suddenly, several ceiling tiles fell down. A grotesque and monstrous worm-like creature with huge spider legs, a young boy's head for a face, descended down. It shrieked at me, and I wasted no time in turning and sprinting towards the exit. It lumbered after me at an insane speed, and I was only saved thanks to a huge amount of rubble in this particular hallway. Moments later, I burst out of the building and sprinted away from the area. Funnily enough, I expected the deaths of my friends to be on the news and the talk of our town. But no one confronted me about it. It made me feel uneasy. I had to confront my friends' parents directly. But when I went to one of their houses, they were in the company of men in black uniforms with some sort of logo on them. I pulled them away from the men and asked, but they all answered the same thing. What kids? Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you SCP Foundation's Safe Class Object, SCP-6305. SCP-6305, also known as This One Time at middle school, refers to the apparitions and spectral activity that occurred at Washington Middle School in 2012. All of these anomalous sightings are tied directly to the life of a deceased young boy, Aaron Fisher. Aaron Fisher, or 6305 for that matter, does not possess full sapience but exhibits mild sentience, demonstrating curiosity in the activities of Foundation staff and appropriate reactions to fear-inducing stimuli. It is important to note that 6305 does not exhibit any human emotions. All cries for help and respite from its current situation are auditory hallucinations. In other words, all screaming or any emotions displayed by Aaron Fisher and spectral hallucinations are to be considered fake. Researchers deem them to be simply Aaron Fisher mimicking human emotions, something he lost once he perished. All that remained of him was his resentment for teachers, friends, and family. The form Aaron Fisher took inside the middle school was that of a monstrous worm-like creature with spider legs, and his head is the face of the creature. Covering his body were the faces of his victims, all emotionlessly copying his fake emotions. Prior to exploring Washington Middle School, the entire block on which it rested was evacuated, and all inhabitants were amnestized. 5 agents were then dispatched in order to contain the anomaly, or at least help the Foundation understand it better. Upon entry, they encountered the usual rundown middle school before hearing a loud clunking sound coming from the library. On the way there, the air became unusually thick, causing all members to cough non-stop. An ethereal fog gradually rolled into the area, preventing them from moving further. They turned on their flashlights. They saw that their path was blocked by a cadaver strapped down to a cobweb-like structure made of ropes. It was a young woman. Her lips were missing, as if they were bitten off violently, and spiders were swarming in and out of her body. Suddenly, a huge arachnid monstrosity descended from the ceiling and began eating the cadaver, before the team alerts them to its presence by their flashlights. It shrieks loudly before retreating back into the ceiling and scuttling away. The cadaver's head suddenly separated itself from the body, and a swarm of black widows poured out onto the ground. "Oh Christ! Get back! Get back!" As they rounded a corner, they froze in fear, as the walls had taken on a deep red color and an almost flesh-like texture. Hundreds of black widow egg sacs and human faces covered the wall. It can't be! She recognized the faces and the missing children, teachers, and those from the area. They were all frozen in looks of anger, shock, sadness, and confusion. Agent Brown threw warding salts around them and onto their faces. It served only to agitate them. All the faces shrieked, their eyes became black, and their jaws extended all the way to the floor. It is unknown what happened after that, but all except Agent Hedge was considered KIA. After Agent Hedge underwent psychological treatment and recovered eventually, she was interviewed by Dr. Nasser about her experience within the school. However, due to the anomalous nature of the school, facial recognition software was used in the interview. "Hello, Mrs. Hedge. Are you doing well?" "I, think so. Almost died. It's going." "I understand. Funny, I actually went to this school, used to be a teacher there as well." "Oh, interesting. I'm sorry, but what's that thing on the table?" Agent Hedge pointed at the facial recognition device. "Ah, well, that is to make sure we're both safe. Have to make sure you're, well, you. We're dealing with the anomalous after all. Now, why don't you tell me what happened? How were you able to be the only one to survive after encountering that spider creature?" "You mean Aaron Fisher?" He looked so hurt. "Those kids, though. The teachers. They didn't do anything. But Aaron didn't think that way. What else did you see about this creature?" "Aaron. I'd appreciate that you don't forget his name. And his body was covered with faces. Kids, teachers, everyone. They deserved it. All of them." "You're quite sure that all those poor souls were not innocent? That their deaths were justified?" "Oh, they were not innocent. They hurt Aaron. They did, always talking about him in silence from the shadows. They're talking about him. About me. I can hear them. I'm sorry, but help me understand, what do you mean by you hear them? It sounds like Aaron was experiencing some severe psychological issues like paranoia, for example, and it seems too that now includes you as well. So cruel of you to say, Doctor." "My apologies. It's just that from my perspective, Aaron's paranoia was so overwhelming it blindsided him. It led him to such strong spiritual resentment, shall we say, towards the world of the living. Poor child, Aaron must not know that nobody wanted to hurt him." "Are you calling us liars, Doctor?" No, listen, you're just like all of the others. I can never trust anyone." Guards! Hedge's neck suddenly snapped at a 90-degree angle as Dr. Nasser called for security.
The guards rammed at the doors, but they wouldn't budge, as if blocked by a supernatural force. "Damn it, it won't open! Someone go get the laser cutter or breaching charge, double time!" Agent Hedge stood and began levitating. "Open the doors, damn it!" Agent Hedge looks dying, but she appeared to not be in pain. Her jaw cracked open and extended towards the floor, shrieking nonstop. After a while, the door was blasted wide open. Dr. Nasser was squatting in the corner, shivering and sweating, muttering to himself. Hedge's lifeless body dropped to the floor, and a proper burial was given to her. After this event, Dr. Nasser protested to the O5 Council. He wanted no further part of 6305, but due to his connection to the school, this was denied. A second exploration was carried out with only a single D-class sent into the school. She managed to find a diary belonging to Aaron Fisher before she too became his prey. And just as Dr. Nasser suspected, it appeared that Aaron was experiencing severe paranoia and schizophrenia. He believed that his peers and teachers, including Dr. Nasser, were talking about him, as well as seeing spiders, namely black widows, that no one else could see. According to the diary, he was speaking with a therapist, which lends credit to Dr. Nasser's theory. Aaron Fisher's mind was so distorted that when he died, it was able to manifest into the real world, hence the spiders and his desire to make those who hurt him hurt as well. Only they never did. But Dr. Nasser did note that maybe he and others should have helped the poor kid more. For the final exploration, under orders of the O5 Council, Dr. Nasser had to enter the school on his own. He was outfitted with numerous talismans infused with infernal thaumaturgy. He was instructed to make his way to the gymnasium and confront Aaron Fisher personally. Upon entering the gym, he shook his head regretfully at seeing the body of Aaron Fisher lying at the corner. He muttered over and over again that he was sorry for not helping more. Seconds later, the huge spider-worm creature burst out from below the ground and stood above Dr. Nasser. Aaron, is that you? My boy, I'm so sorry. Mr. Nasser? Is that you? Yes, my boy, it's me. I helped Mrs. DiLorenzo teach your class. She was wonderful. Really? Yes, really. The huge creature spiraled its body around Dr. Nasser. It scared him, but he managed to maintain his composure. Can I tell you something, Mr. Nasser? Yes, Aaron, anything. I hate everyone. All of them. They always laugh at me. They say I'm a freak, a monster. I hate it. But I knew, and I hurt them now. I hurt them good. Why did they hate me? Aaron's monstrous body curled up on the ground, sobbing now. Dr. Nasser looked at all the faces of those that Aaron had slain. All of them were crying, shouting with blank expressions. Aaron, I don't hate you. There are just a lot of thoughts going on in your head. Horrible thoughts that you don't understand, clouding your judgment. We all have problems like that. You are not alone. But I don't feel bad about what I did. It's not my fault. It's just not. The spider-worm creature shot up and prepared to attack Dr. Nasser. Dr. Nasser remained steadfast on his ground. After seeing Dr. Nasser's regretful face, it calmed down. Let me do something for you, Aaron. Something I should have done a long time ago. No, you're lying again. You can't help me. Look at me. Dr. Nasser nodded and pointed towards Aaron Fisher's real body at the corner. I can help you, Aaron. That's... Oh God, am I in trouble, Mr. Nasser? No, my child, not at all. He carried the body and buried it in an empty field behind the school. Rest in peace, Aaron. After the burial, all anomalous activity at Washington Middle School ceased. SCP-6305, as stated before, is now classified as safe, and the school is being rebuilt as of the writing of this article. Dr. Nasser has expressed interest to the O5 Council in staying at the school in order to teach and keep an eye out for any anomalous activity. He was granted this,